Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining in. We're just waiting for a few more people to join and we will be starting at 4:05 p.m. Thank you. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining in. For those of you who just joined, we're going to be starting at 4:05 p.m. Thank you so much.
All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please type yes in the chat box and then we can begin. Right. We're just starting. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's webinar. My name is Amna, and I'm an educational advisor at the Education USA Karachi office. Today, I will be talking to you about graduate admissions. But before I begin, let me just briefly introduce myself and Education USA. I graduated from the University of Maryland, College Park with a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics, and today's session is for anyone who's thinking about studying in the United States at the graduate level. Today, I'll be guiding you through the process of identifying graduate programs that align with your academic goals, your professional interests, and your financial requirements, and also share how you can evaluate your options and find the best fit programs that suit your unique interests and needs. Now, before we move forward with today's session, just a quick heads up. If you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box, and I would be more than happy to take them at the end of the session. We will have a PowerPoint presentation session followed by a live Q&A. Thank you very much. All right, so like I said, let me quickly introduce you to Education USA, who we are and what we do. Education USA is a part of the US Department of State network. We have more than 400 international student advising centers in more than 170 countries all across the world. Education USA Pakistan provides free advising services to Pakistani students who are interested in pursuing their bachelor's, master's, or PhD in the United States. Education USA is your official source of accurate, complete, and up-to-date information on all US higher education. So regardless of whether you are in the process of applying or have started shortlisting schools or still thinking about it, whatever queries you have, you can always reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to assist you. We also have an application. You can scan the QR codes on the screen to download it. It works like WhatsApp, and you can use it to reach out to Education USA advisors Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, before we begin with the content, I also wanted to tell you about the different workshops and webinars that we host as a part of our advising services. All of these are free of cost to attend. And as you can see on the screen, we have a different and very wide variety of topics that we cover in our webinars, from talking about specific universities to talking about F1 student visas, to telling you how to finance your graduate degrees. So whatever topic it is that you're interested in, please visit the educationusa.pk website and look at the upcoming events tab in order to find out about the different programs that we have coming up for you in terms of webinars and workshops. All right. Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how to apply to the United States. As you can see on the screen, there are 5 steps to applying for the United States. We have broken this down into 5 simple steps. And the first step and the most important step, which is what today's webinar is all about, is researching, right? So researching your options is the first thing to do if you're thinking about applying to a US university. Once you've started looking at the different options and started doing some research, the second thing is keeping in mind how you are going to finance your studies, which is step 2 of the entire process. Once you've looked at the different schools, looked at the financial costs and the constraints and what fits within your budget and how you're going to arrange for funding, the third step is actually going ahead and preparing and completing your application. This is where the essays, letters of recommendation, this is where the portal and filling out the application itself comes in. Then we have step 4, which is applying for your US student visa. Once you're done with step 4, step 5 is simply getting ready to depart for the United States and commencing your education at a US university of your choice. Now, regardless of which of these 5 steps you're on in this horizontal trajectory, Education USA advisors are more than happy to assist you with your queries, and you can reach out to us for any questions, regardless of whether it's about student visas or researching or getting ready to depart or next steps upon arrival. All right. Now, before I move to the next slide, I wanted to ask a quick question. What are some reasons that you are thinking about studying in the United States? Can you please type this in the Q&A box? What are the reasons that you wish to study in the US? And there's no right or wrong reason, but there are a lot of them. So whatever you do type, I will be more than happy to review that. All right, anyone, what's the reason that you want to apply to the USA? The top of the mind reason, first thing. All right, that's a great answer. Explore another country's education and culture. Okay. All right. To see the opportunities in the United States. Anybody else? Okay, great. So in addition to the ones that you've already mentioned, here are some common reasons that students choose the United States amidst all the different nations that are offering educational opportunities. The first and foremost is obviously recognition. US degrees are globally recognized across the world. The second is quality. A lot of students choose the United States simply because it offers the best quality of education and is consistently ranked amongst the top and most highest ranking institutions across the world. Another reason that students choose US universities is diversity because it has the greatest concentration of different students from all across the world. Another one is flexibility. So the US education system offers a lot of flexibility to students to go ahead and explore their interests before they commit to a specific major. That's at the undergraduate level. And even at the graduate level, if you are somebody who's trying to switch career tracks, maybe your bachelor's was in something else and now you want to do a master's or a PhD, that isn't something completely different. The US system has a lot of flexibility compared to other countries. Another one is excellent quality of student life and different resources that are available on campus, be it athletic resources or the writing labs or career services. There's a lot to explore. And finally, one of the most popular reasons is obviously funding. The US is one of the most generous countries in the world when it comes to providing students with scholarships and financial aid. Of course, there are so many more reasons, from networking to career building to just having a unique approach and a different approach from your local country where you're coming from. So all of these and more are some of the reasons that students often opt for the United States. Now that we've talked about why students choose the United States, let's talk a little bit about what is a graduate student. So a graduate student is someone who's earned their bachelor's degree already and is pursuing additional education in any specific field, right? And if all of you are interested in applying for grad school, that would mean that all of you have presumably completed 16 years of education and are now looking to add on to that, right? Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the different kinds of graduate degrees that we have. So if you look at the next slide, you can see that there's different types of masters and PhDs that are offered in the United States. There's the first kind, which is just a major focused master's, usually takes 2 to 3 years. The minimum GPA requirement is usually 3.0. But of course, this varies from school to school. And since there are more than 4,000 universities and colleges in the United States, it's very important to look at the specific policies for the specific program and university that you are interested in applying to. All right. The second type of master's is the professional master's degree. This is where they provide vocational skills and technical training that's required for particular professional careers, right? So this is a very specific kind of degree, and sometimes in order to move forward in your professional life, your company or your organization might request you to go for a professional master's degree where you will gain the vocational skills that are needed to continue advancing in your career. The third type is a DBA, which is a Doctor of Business Administration, which is a terminal business-focused degree that provides practical knowledge that can be directly applied in the workplace. And finally, there's the PhD, which most people are familiar with. This is more research-focused, and this usually takes 3 to 5 years. There's different kinds of PhDs that have different durations, and schools usually look at the undergrad and grad GPAs. And the requirements for a PhD vary from program to program, university to university, student to student. So at the end of the day, like I said, there's more than 4,000 institutions, and what matters is knowing what the institution and the specific department that you're aiming for requires from its candidates. All right, now that we've talked about the different types of degrees, let's talk a little bit about what do you need to look at when you are researching schools. The first question that you need to ask yourself is, do you even need a graduate degree? Right? So deep diving into your reasons for pursuing a graduate education is one of the first things that you need to revisit when you're thinking about getting a master's or a PhD. The second thing to look at is the program duration. How long is your program? Is it a 3-year PhD or a 5-year PhD? Is it a 1-year master's or is it a 2-year master's? Is it full-time or is it part-time? The third thing would be the cost of attendance. The difference between the cost of attendance and the tuition is that the tuition is just the amount that you pay for studying in an institution, whereas the cost of attendance is the overall cost that you need to pay in order to be able to attend. This includes the cost of living, the cost of food, the cost of travel, the cost of shopping or any other expenses, books, purchasing, anything that you might incur while you are pursuing your educational journey at that institution. The fourth thing that you should think about seriously before you start graduate school is personal commitment. Are you ready for the time and financial commitment that a graduate degree requires? And honestly, a lot of times, we go ahead and we think about doing grad school without giving a second thought to the amount of energy, the amount of time, the amount of money that it's going to require, the sacrifices that it will take. And so it's very important to really carefully consider all of these factors before you choose what kind of a degree you wish to pursue. Once you have thought about these, you also need to seriously and carefully and in great depth think about the major and the area of research that you are interested in. So not just thinking about which area you wish to pursue, but also, do you have a research question in mind? Is there any particular problem that you wish to solve through this degree? Is there any area that you've seen gaps in which you wish to address in your professional or personal academic journeys? So knowing what exactly you are going in for, which key area you wish to focus on, which key topic, will really help you make this journey easier for yourself. Next, what are your long-term and short-term goals? So knowing what you want to get during this degree, after this degree, and in the long term from this graduate pursuit will really help you narrow down what you are looking for within an institution and whether or not it aligns with your long-term and short-term goals. Another key difference to keep in mind when you're researching universities is whether or not the university that you're looking at is public or private. Because like Pakistan, different universities in America also have different characteristics depending on whether they are public universities or private institutions. And the kind of funding that you will have access to, the kind of opportunities that you will be able to avail at that campus depend on whether or not it's a specific kind of institution and what it has to offer. This brings me to the next thing, which is the facilities offered at that institution. Now, this can range from recreational facilities, so anything from having a basic swimming pool or a gym or yoga classes that are free of cost for students to attend, or any career resources that they might guide you with regards to finding on-campus internships or off-campus internships or jobs or employment opportunities. Also looking into TA-ships and RA-ships. This will also include a writing lab where you can go ahead and get your, research work proofread if you want some feedback on whether it sounds grammatically correct or whether the syntax and the semantics are on point. You can also look at universities on the basis of research work. So obviously, if you wish to pursue a graduate degree, you need to know what kind of research work you're planning on doing in those 3 to 5 years, or if it's a PhD, or 1 to 2 years if it's a master's. And if you know what kind of research work you want, then you should really look at this university's professors and what kind of work they are involved in right now to see which university professor aligns best with your area of interest, so that you know how to approach them and how to get in touch with them and what part of their research you would like to assist in. Next, there is the concept of internships, TA-ships, RA-ships, and other opportunities that are available on campus, and finding out which university has the kind of opportunities on campus with regards to on-campus employment that you can avail as a graduate student. And finally, post-graduation opportunities. Whenever you embark on a graduate degree, if this is something that matters to you, what you plan on doing after graduation, then you should look at the university's placements. Where did the students who were part of this program prior to you, where did they end up going? Where did they end up working? What roles are they in currently? Because this is the alumni network that you will become a part of eventually when you successfully graduate. And it's very important to see if these are the roles that you are interested in pursuing as well in the future. Now, another important thing that you need to look at that varies from university to university are the deadlines. All universities do not have the same deadlines, which is why it's extremely important that once you've shortlisted the schools that you wish to apply to, based on your budget, based on your major, based on the location, based on all the other factors that we've discussed, you should then immediately look at the deadlines for essay submissions, for financial document submissions after that, right? And sometimes universities will have extra deadlines or special deadlines for any scholarship applications, any fellowship or assistantship applications that you might be submitting in addition to your overall university admissions application. So keep in mind that there might be multiple deadlines, and it's very important to know which ones are coming up soon so that you can submit everything in a timely manner and you don't miss out on any opportunities. The second thing is, of course, knowing what kind of university requires what kind of an essay submission. So some universities will require just one statement of purpose or personal statement, but some universities will require you to write additional scholarship essays, or they will ask you to submit a proposal for the kind of research that you wish to do. So knowing the university requirements when it comes to writing and written submissions is also extremely important. And finally, this sounds trivial in the beginning when you're at such an early phase of the applications process, but believe me, this will make a big difference in terms of your overall university experience. Housing, right? Where you are located and where you choose to live while you're pursuing your graduate studies makes a big difference in your overall experience. So if you're somebody who doesn't like the cold and you end up choosing a university that is located in the coldest parts of America, that might not be a very good fit for you. And if you are somebody who doesn't like to walk to classes or who needs to have classes that are a stone's throw away from where they're living, then you should look at the kind of housing that is available on campus for students that is situated near the classroom buildings, right? As opposed to if you're somebody who wants their privacy or who wants to have a more home style approach towards living, then you can look for off-campus housing where you can have your apartment yourself and you can set it up as you like it without having to adhere to additional rules and regulations that would be contingent to a dorm that would be shared, right? So knowing what kind of housing preference you have and also making sure that you can secure those housing opportunities in a timely fashion to ensure that you qualify for those is a very important part of the application process as well. Also, as you can see over here, there might be additional costs associated with living on campus. So whatever costs those might be for applying for housing on campus or finding housing off campus, please make sure that you are keeping an eye on the housing situation overall, because this will shape your experience as you go to classes every day from wherever you're living. And it will determine the kind of commute that you have, the kind of access that you have to university facilities, and overall how satisfied you are with your university experience. Now, what are some tips for looking at resources when you're looking at them as a student, especially an international student? You should look at the university's Career Services Center. Just visit their page, look at the timings, look at the location, become familiar with the different kinds of services that they offer. In addition to that, look at whether or not the university has any professional advisors that are assigned to students once they become a part of the student body. What kind of health services they offer. This is another important one. If you're far away from home and you're in America and you get sick, you need to know how to get access to the right kind of medical care and attention. Familiarize yourself with the different libraries on campus. Fun fact, the university that I went to had 7 libraries, and that was something that I absolutely loved as an international student. It gave me the flexibility to choose which library was closer to my classes. And it also gave me that diversity of like choosing different spots to study in on campus without getting bored of the same place. Additionally, most universities have really great writing centers where you can go ahead and get your work reviewed for feedback, for content improvement, for syntax and structure. So if you're somebody who really wants to get those A grades on their papers and really wants to get their work proofread, definitely become acquainted with the writing center that is at the university's campus. Additionally, some universities also offer tutoring centers. So this is if you struggle with a specific concept or a specific subject that you need additional help in, and perhaps for whatever reason you can't go and meet your professor during office hours, you can go ahead and visit the tutoring center at a time of your choosing, as long as it's within their operational times. And there are tutors who can assist you with whatever queries you have. So as somebody who actually used to go to the tutoring center as a student and then also work there, I can tell you that the tutoring center is a great resource to also just feel more confident with the kind of subject matter that you're covering in classes. And sometimes students might feel shy in approaching their professor or their TA for direct assistance, and that's when the academic tutors at the tutoring center really come in useful. And finally, there's a lot of student organizations that are present on every US university campus. So please go ahead and start looking at the different student organizations and which ones you wish to be a part of once you arrive on campus. Once you have looked at the different factors that go into choosing universities, and you are now ready to start committing to some universities, you can start building your university list. So this is what your university list can look like. There's so many different templates that are available on the web as well, should you choose to move forward with another one. But this is just one sample that we have from US News. As you can see, there's some basic information that is required on the university list, which includes the school's name, the location, the academic program that you're interested in, its size. If you want to write it down, it's up to you. There's a wide variety of universities in the United States. Some of them are very small, some of them are very, very large. So again, that's a personal preference about which size university you wish to attend. Additionally, it will also include whether or not your university requires you to give the GRE, the GMAT, or any other graduate exam before arrival. Any English proficiency tests that they wish you to take. So if they require you to take the TOEFL or the Pearson test of English or Duolingo or IELTS, this would be a column on your list, and you can write down the requirements in there. It would also have your required university bachelor's level coursework. So if you're applying for a specific master's or PhD and it requires you to have certain courses in that field, then you can mention those here. It will also mention the minimum GPA requirement. So most programs do have a minimum requirement that they recommend students meet. In addition to that, you can also mention things like the acceptance rate of the university to help you figure out which universities are extremely exclusive and which universities are more open to students from different backgrounds. They're less selective. Additionally, you can write down the tuition per year, the cost of living, the cost of beverages and food and everything else. You can mention the kind of financial aid options that the university has, any specific scholarships or any specific financial aid options that you wish to avail. They can also be a separate column on this list. You can mention the specific deadlines, and this is where you can also write down sub-deadlines or multiple deadlines for different things. If there's a different deadline for the scholarship essay and a different deadline for the university application, you can mention both of those. And finally, you can also mention the application fee for that school. So once you have created a rough list, you can then move on to using Master's Portal or PhDportal.com amidst other resources to search for graduate schools. So as you can see, this is what the portal looks like. You just have to write down what you want to study and where you want to study and search. And it will give you a list of different universities based on your search metrics. And then on the left, you can see these tabs that you can click or unclick, and that will further refine and shortlist universities for you based on your preferences. So this is actually a really straightforward and useful method for shortlisting universities, because if you keep adding criteria to the university list, it will keep refining the list until it is a list of your choosing and the kind that you need. So you can put in budgetary constraints, you can put in location constraints, you can say only universities that offer a 2-year master's, or only universities that have an on-campus option if you're not interested in virtual degrees, and it will refine that list for you, right? So this is where you can do a lot of your research with regards to overall university profiles, and then you can go into more depth using other websites, or you can go into more depth using this own website where you can click on the university name to see the university's profile itself. All right. Additionally, you can also take a virtual tour of the university that you're interested in. This is a really good idea if you want to get more well acquainted with the university's vibe of the campus, the way it feels, the kind of services it offers, the way the buildings are structured. So if you have a specific architectural preference, then you can go ahead and look for those kind of universities. For example, when I used to live in Chicago, I went to the University of Chicago's campus, and I noticed that a lot of the buildings had this very Gothic architectural, old, architectural style to it. So that was something that I found very fascinating. If you're somebody like that, you can go ahead and look at those. These are 2 websites that you can use to do virtual tours. There's www.uvisit.com/college search, and then there's princetonreview.com/college advice/virtual tours. Both of these will get you an opportunity to do virtual tours for many universities across the United States without having to physically visit them. All right, now let's talk a little bit about deadlines. So when you're planning for graduate school, you need to plan well ahead in time, right? You need to plan way in advance and make sure you give yourself ample time to meet all the requirements that are a part of a graduate school application. So 12 to 18 months in advance would be a good time to begin researching for appropriate colleges or universities and register and prepare for any examinations that you might have to take. So if you are somebody who wishes to take the GRE or the GMAT for your grad school, now would be a good time to do it if you're applying for the fall 2026 intake, right? Then there's 12 to 14 months in advance. You can choose the institutions of your interest and obtain the application forms and information. Approximately a year in advance, you can identify who will write the letters of recommendation. You can request transcripts from your previous institutions where you've studied. You can make sure that the application essay or statement of purpose is complete. And of course, you should get it reviewed by somebody and get honest and accurate feedback. That could be an Education US advisor as well. So we'd be more than happy to review your SOP for you and give you constructive feedback. And finally, this is also the time where you can ensure that entrance exam scores are satisfactory if they apply to you, right? Again, depends on program to program. Now, 11 months in advance, you want to confirm that all the information has been obtained. You need to request forms and information again if necessary. 10 months in advance, you need to go ahead and start submitting your applications if you haven't done so already, keeping in mind the deadlines that they're due by. And approximately, this says 3 months in advance, but keeping in mind that we live in Pakistan, which is one of the most populous countries in the world, you should give approximately 6 months. As soon as you receive your I-20, you received your offer letter, you request your I-20. Once you've got your I-20, please go ahead and start the student visa application process, fill out your DS-160, fill out your SEVIS, and go ahead and schedule the visa interview, book that appointment. In addition to that, please make sure that you sign up for Education USA's pre-departure orientation, because that's where you can meet a lot of other students who are going to the United States for different graduate and undergraduate programs. And you can even make a few friends before you even arrive on campus, which is a great resource to have. All right, so this is a visual breakdown of what I just explained to you in the previous slide. The first step, as you can see, is identifying which programs to apply to and then taking the necessary tests. Additionally, make sure you ask your referees for letters of recommendation and start writing your statement of purpose around this time. This is also a really good time to revisit your resume and refine and edit your CV or resume as needed, as per the program that you're applying for. Now, after that, the next phase of application is submitting and completing the applications, waiting for the admissions and funding decisions, and attending admitted student orientations virtually or talking with the university admissions and faculty representatives to ensure that everything is lined up and you're good to go. Once you've done that, you need to then submit your documents, your financial documentation to the university that you plan on attending and receive your I-20, based on which you can fill out your DS form. And then you can schedule your visa appointment at your local US embassy or consulate, schedule your classes for your first semester, get familiar with the university resources as an admitted student. Obviously, have your student ID and password with you at all times. Arrive on campus once you've attended the pre-departure orientation and attend the university orientations, and then your classes will start in the fall. That's what it looks like. So some of the typical graduate admission requirements that you should know are obviously the application itself. So filling out your basic information as a part of the university application and filling out all the information that they require about your family and about everything else. After that, you have to look at your transcripts and your academic records. Most graduate admission programs will require you to submit your transcripts and academic records for all prior degrees. But again, you need to see what specifically they require based on the university itself. You also need to look at the GRE, GMAT, or LSAT required scores to ensure that you meet the score requirement and you are all set with regards to that part of the application. Also look at any English proficiency tests that they might require you to have. All universities don't require this, and many universities will accept the fact that you've studied in an English-speaking institution. But once again, this requirement differs from university to university, so it's always good to double check and know your specific programs and universities' requirements. Then there comes the letter of recommendation. Now, different MS programs, MBA programs, PhD programs have different requirements when it comes to letters of recommendation. Some of them want only academic referees. Some of them are okay with academic and professional references both. And some of them don't have a preference. They are okay with just professional references as well. So at the end of the day, it depends on the kind of program you're going to. Then there's the statement of purpose or the personal statement, a resume or a CV. And remember, the application deadlines itself will vary from school to school and program to program. Now, keeping this in mind, if you're somebody who wishes to do a PhD, we've created this great little screenshot for you that you can take, which is the requirements for a PhD in the United States. So again, it's the same things that I mentioned, statement of purpose, publishing. So it's not a requirement for all programs, but many programs do prefer students who have published work of their own individual primary research. So if you've assisted anybody in writing papers, or if you've written your own papers or co-authored papers, that would be a useful thing to mention in your application. Additionally, a lot of programs like to see professional experience that's relevant to the degree that you're applying for. Letters of recommendation, again, depends on universities, whether they want professional ones or academic ones. So please make sure you do that research. The different kinds of testing. All PhD programs don't require the GRE or any other tests, but some MBA programs will require the GMAT for sure. So depends on which program you're applying for. The application fee, the faculty profiles. Some programs require you to know which faculty member you wish to be assisting in research, whereas other programs don't require that from you, and they will match you with the faculty themselves once you've gotten accepted. So it's important to understand how this works, and you can always reach out to the graduate admissions team at that university to get more details about what their preference is, or attend any of their different workshops that they conduct for students who are interested in applying to their programs. And finally, universities can oftentimes have virtual interviews for international students before they make a final decision on their application. So be ready that if your university has virtual interviews, you might have to interview with a faculty member before you get your offer letter. All right. What are some tips when you're submitting your applications? The first thing is, please make sure you ask your recommenders ahead of time. Asking somebody a week before the application is due to submit their recommendation letter is not a good idea. So give them ample time, at least 4 to 6 weeks, to go ahead and write a detailed, high quality recommendation letter for you. And also know what kind of recommenders you need. If you haven't studied from this professor in a very long time, it might be a good idea to send them a sample of your project or some paper that you wrote for their class, a screenshot of the grade that you got in their class. Hopefully, you should only be reaching out to professors whose classes you scored A's and B's in, or ideally A's in, and just jog their memory about the time that you spent learning from them and how valuable it was, so that they know what to mention in the recommendation letter with regards to your studying style and your performance and overall interest in the future. Don't make the mistake of adding their emails and name and number first, submitting your application, and then them reaching out to you about why they received an email from the University of Washington, for example, requesting a recommendation. So always make sure you have their consent, they're okay with it, you give them enough time, and then you add their details. Another important thing is updating your CV and resume. Many of us have not updated our CVs and resumes in a long time, just because we might be working at the same role for a while, or we might not have needed to. But if you're about to apply for grad school, this is a really good time to go ahead and revisit your CV and your resume and ensure that it's all up to date. And finally, the statement of purpose, you need to make sure that it has a combination of the past, present, and future. Only talking about your past challenges, past accomplishments, past interests will not make for a good statement of purpose. Only talking about your present accomplishments and not mentioning your future goals at all will also not make for a good statement of purpose. So you need to balance all of this and show what academic and personal experiences and professional experiences have helped you arrive at the present place that you are at in terms of academic journey and professional journey, and what you wish to use this graduate degree for in the future, and what future goals you wish to accomplish with it. Right? If you want more details about how to write an effective statement of purpose, you can visit the Education USA Pakistan YouTube page, and there's multiple webinars that we have conducted which guide students on how to write a graduate statement of purpose or personal statement. And finally, when you're applying, look for those fee waivers. If you can attend a university's webinar where they give the fee waiver codes and enter those fee waivers, you can save yourself precious money. All right, now let's talk about assistantships and fellowships. As you can see, assistantships are where the student will work for the institution in research, teaching, and/or office administration. In turn, the student will be provided with a tuition waiver and a stipend for living expenses. A fellowship is where the student will be offered a grant to cover costs while earning a PhD degree. This grant may cover tuition, fees, and living costs in part or in full. All right. What are the different types of assistantships? There's assisting professors who are preparing for course plans, and there's also grading coursework and posting grades in student portal. Research assistantships require you to assist the professor with conducting research on different topics and sharing the findings, and also assisting the professors with the formatting of their papers. So basically, you are just assisting the professor either by delivering the lectures or in part, or by uploading the coursework, or by assisting them in the research formatting and the research topics and finding data for their research. Now, if we were to talk about different scholarships, there's merit-based scholarships, there are some cultural scholarships, or scholarships for example, sometimes universities have specific scholarships for Asian women in leadership or something as specific as that. Then there are independent scholarships, and then there's the Fulbright, which is an international binational commission, right? And Pakistan has one of the largest numbers of Fulbrighters from all across the world. So if you're interested in getting a fully funded degree at the master's or PhD level, you should be looking into the Fulbright as an option, right? So this page gives you a great idea of the different kinds of scholarships that you can aim for. There's also scholarships that are specific to the institution that you are applying to, and scholarships that can be a third-party institution or organization like the Aga Khan Foundation that might wish to sponsor your education in a specific area. All right, final tips before we wrap the presentation up. The first and most important thing, before you even start researching programs or start applying to programs, you should talk to people in the industry. Talk to people who've been through this degree that you are interested in. Get in touch with the different kind of people who've completed this degree and are now in roles that you wish to see yourself at, and get an idea of how their experience was. What would they do differently if they could go back in time? What are their recommendations for you? And how can you benefit from their overall experience in terms of applying, pursuing, and then completing this degree at the institution of your choice? Next, you should reach out to faculty. It's always a good idea to have an updated LinkedIn profile and make sure that you have a professional picture on there, where you can use that profile to reach out to different faculty members at prospective universities, because building a relationship with the professors will help you get a head start on the entire application process, and it will also give you a good idea of what is the kind of work that the professors are currently engaged in. The third most important thing is, of course, building your resume, right? Your CV or your resume is basically like an introduction of yourself on paper, and you need to make sure that it's crisp, it's up to date, it's clear, there are no formatting errors, there are no spelling errors. It has all the information that a person needs to know in order to assess whether or not you're a good fit for their institution for any opportunities professionally. Another important thing is start your research early. If you know that you are currently in the process of publishing a paper, then please get started on that and try your best to publish it as soon as possible. If you're somebody who has another co-author ready to write a paper with you, but you've been delaying it because you've been busy, now is the time to go ahead and start working on that paper together with that person. If you're somebody who wants to self-publish, again, this is the time to reach out to different publication agencies and find out where you can get your self-publishing done from. Also, this is a good time before applying to avail different internship and job opportunities to see which ones would enrich you and give you the best possible experience to go hand in hand with your graduate degree. You can also reach out to the alumni from your own institution who have gone to this university if you're interested in a specific US university, or who have gone on to pursue a similar degree at a different university in the same field. So regardless of which of these options you choose, getting in touch with the alumni will give you an edge, because it will give you insider insights into what to do, what not to do, and when to do it. Finally, understanding the culture is another very important thing. Even within the United States, there are different universities that have different campus activities, different campus traditions, and doing your research about those different traditions, those different activities will give you a better shot at choosing the university that best aligns with your own personal goals. Finally, don't rely on what other people say or hearsay or any secondary or tertiary information that you come across. Use your own research that you conduct using different multiple sites and different portals to arrive at conclusions about which universities are the best fit for you. Another important thing to remember is that there's no such thing as one best fit. You can have multiple universities or colleges that are a good fit for you based on your personal preferences, your program, your future plans, and your own overall intentions with your short-term and long-term goals when it comes to your graduate studies. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and take questions. So let's see if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A box. Thank you. All right, somebody wanted my introduction again. So my name is Amna and I'm an advisor in the Karachi office. If you wish to reach out to me, you can reach out to me via our email, which is karachi@educationusa.org. If you have any specific questions with regards to your own profile, I would be more than happy to set up a one-on-one advising meeting with you virtually and guide you more in terms of what you are planning to study and whether that's the right program for you, and deep dive into more details about that program or that university. So please do feel free to reach out to me if you want to do any specific research about a program, or if you have any specific program related questions. All right, great. Giving it last 30 seconds. Sure, I will repeat my email. It's karachi@educationusa.org. One of you is asking about appointment slots. So when you send us an email, we will send you a Google Calendar link and you can use that to schedule an appointment. If you have sent us an email already and haven't received the link, please just top up that same email by saying kindly update regarding this, and we'd be more than happy to assist you. Complete the process of getting the Fulbright scholarship. All right, perfect. For the Fulbright scholarship, you can go ahead and you can visit the uscfpe.org website and look at the Fulbright requirements over there. Generally, the way that the Fulbright works is you apply directly to the Fulbright, and then once you are shortlisted, the Fulbright and selected, the Fulbright will interview you, and once you're selected, it will apply on your behalf to US universities. So if you were to apply directly to a university right now, this fall, you would be able to enroll next fall. But if you were to apply for the Fulbright this winter, which would be sometime before March next year, this year the deadline was March 2025. So if you were to apply before March, then you would be enrolling the following year's fall, right? I hope that clears up your question. All right. For the visa related questions, I would appreciate it if you could please send us an email and we'd be more than happy to assist you. Education USA does not directly, directly handle any student visa processing. So just a heads up. But if you have any visa related queries in general, we'd be more than happy to assist you. Just send us an email at the address. All right, thank you so much everyone for attending today's webinar. I hope you found this useful, and if you have any follow-up questions with regards to your specific profile or specific degree, we'd be more than happy to help you via email and setting up a one-on-one appointment. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. Take care.